On today's show, who are the biggest X factors in the NBA? Where does Christian Wood fall in that? What are the outcomes for the biggest X factors in the West? We'll talk about all those and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know who's the biggest X factor. We're just going to do the Western Conference today, but who do you think? Who's the biggest X factor? It's kind of up for interpretation, but let us know. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, the X Factor Examiner, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Feeling a little itchy right now. I'm ready for some basketball. We get a Eurobasket.
Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming.
We're so ready for this thing. And it should be some good basketball. A lot of star players playing in it. Obviously, Luka Doncic is playing in it. Coming up on Thursday.
Yep.
I know we've said this from the top over the past, week or so, but we're going to cover all of the games for Slovenia. Even when they win the championship, we're going to, we'll do a post-game pod after that. But no, it should be a lot of fun and excited to watch some good basketball again.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to. Oh, we haven't gotten to play that enough recently.
Doncic, saucy.
We will cover those, like you said, Thursday in United States time, and I think it's like Wednesday night for everybody overseas there that get to actually be in the country where those happen. But we'll cover all those games today. We're getting into X Factors. It's Tier Tuesday. We like to tier stuff, rank stuff, however you want to say it. We're tiering the biggest X factors in the Western Conference. So this is.
Why don't you explain that, Nick?
This is a broad. I had to text the rules to Isaac back and forth just to make sure that we were on the same page with this. And it's really up for interpretation. Like, there's some tiers that we've done and rankings that we've done where you just know, okay, number one option on a team. Luka is the number one option. Jokic is the number one option for Denver. Like, you start going down the list and it's just unequivocal which player they could be. This one is completely subjective. Right? Which players they're going to be. And then the tiers are subjective all the time. So this is double layer of subjective. But this is how we decided what an X factor is. The biggest, widest range of outcomes. The biggest impact on success and failure that one player can have on a team. We took out star player injury. Obviously, if Luka gets hurt, then that has the biggest impact on the Mavericks' success, right? But if Luka plays and he's not hurt, then we know what we're going to get from Luka. We know what we're going to get from Luka, Booker, Jokic, Ja Morant, Ingram, Lillard, those type of players. We just know what we're going to get. We also know what we're going to get from the Dorian Finney-Smiths, the Reggie Bullocks, the players like that, even the Mikal Bridgeses of the world. If you just want to start naming role players on teams, then we know what we're going to get from those guys. And so it's the player that can affect the team's outcome in the largest way, the widest range of outcomes.
Yeah. And you're going to, it's inevitable. Somebody listening to this is going to be like, well, I don't think that player from that team is their X factor.
Let us know in the comments on YouTube.
Fine.
Let us know.
I'm sure they will. And we just had to land on somebody.
Yeah.
You could go across, the NBA here, and we just did the Western Conference and be like, all right, who's the X factor for the Kings?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we could go back and forth. So we just landed on somebody, and then obviously we'll debate on it. And I actually pulled a Nick in this and said, hey, I named my tiers.
I like that.
You've been naming your tiers. I haven't. And yeah, I have 5 tiers today.
Yeah, we're both going to do 5 tiers, and we decided who the players are together. That way, we're at least talking about the same thing and having similar debates. Yeah. And we can talk about which ones we disagreed on, the player when we get to it.
Yeah, basically this idea for this Tuesday was birthed out of Christian Wood and the whole conversation with Christian Wood of he is the Mavs X factor.
Man, you're casual.
There is a wide range of outcomes for how the Christian Wood experience happens in Dallas this season.
Explain this. Sorry.
So you look across the roster. We said it the other day. We'll say it again. It's like you look at like Reggie, Dorian. We feel like we know we're good now of those guys. Even like JaVale, even though he's a new guy. And like you go across the roster, Christian Wood is this big X factor that peak Christian Wood could be huge for this Dallas team, but it could also go south. And you're like, man, it could flame out, and you don't know what happens then.
I think for the Mavs, all the conversation that I talked about with Spencer Dinwiddie on Friday on that episode, I think you can make a big case that Spencer Dinwiddie is their biggest X factor. But I think we've already seen him with the Mavs a little bit. I think we can know what to get from him a little bit more than Christian Wood, and so I put Christian Wood as a bigger X factor. Like if Christian Wood is really, really good, how good would that make the Mavericks? But if Christian Wood is bad, then like they didn't really add anything this offseason, and then they just lost Brunson, and then it's just like, okay, well, they're back to square. The only thing that you improved on is JaVale, however good JaVale is over Dwight Howard. Like that's not good enough for you. And so I think Christian Wood becomes the biggest X factor in that instance.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's just quickly go down the players that we decided. This is just the Western Conference. So for the Mavericks, Christian Wood. Denver Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. For the Golden State Warriors, James Wiseman. You want to just give a quick reason why you picked them, and then we'll talk about where we put them in tiers
for each one.
Yeah. So Porter Jr.'s one where if he's a star, then they could win the title. If he's not, and not that he could get hurt because we kind of took that out of it, but if he's just not good enough for them, especially defensively, and he gets used and abused on defense in the playoffs, then that could be really, really bad for them going forward. Warriors, James Wiseman. This is a good one.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm on double overlap here when it comes to when we actually tear them off and why we have them in the tier for the explanation.
Okay,
but
I'll also put each of them in the description on YouTube and the podcast, so you can just read through which ones we picked, and then we'll talk about how we got to them. That's a good call. All right, let's start with the number one tier. This is the players that can affect the outcome of a team the most, the widest range of outcomes.
How many players do you have?
I have 3 players in this one. I
have 5.
I spread them out a little bit better. When I initially did this, I think I had 5, and then I thought about it a little bit more and I spread them out.
Can I give you my title?
Yeah, give me your title.
My title of this tier is Their Peak Changes the West.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's like There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Tale by Isaac Harris.
Oh, it starts this week, guys.
We've been watching the extended editions of Lord of the Rings for the show that comes out on Friday.
I can't wait.
I have Michael Porter Jr., Anthony Edwards, and Zion Williamson. Those are
good.
Those are my number ones. I think you're gonna have the same, but who do you have as the other 2?
I actually have James Wiseman and Christian Wood in that.
Wow.
Because I think if all 5 of these guys hit at their peak, I think it means their team is going to the Western Conference Finals.
Well, the Warriors already did.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Actually, let me take it back. It doesn't mean that they're going to the conference finals. It means that they have a legit chance to go. Because Anthony Edwards, if he hits peak of what he can hit this year, and he goes to even that next level, which he had a really good. Nick just pulled a Wendy on YouTube here.
My door slowly opened up, and it's the creepiest thing because I can't see my dog with my desk in the way, and it's just my door slowly opens up and opens to a dark hallway.
I don't think Minnesota is going to the conference finals, but peak Anthony Edwards, if he goes to that next big level,
they could.
Then it gives them a chance. That's how I should have worded that a while ago. If these 5 guys hit their peak, it gives their team a chance to go to a conference finals run. Just like Zion, Michael Porter Jr. I put James Wiseman there because it could if he hits his peak of what he could be this season, it means they could trade for another guy. It can mean, they legitimately have a big man that can do all the things
everything
that they need.
Want. Yeah.
It's just scary that he hasn't played and they just won a title. And the Christian Wood thing, if Dallas gets a 6'10" guy that's athletic, that can put up 21 and 10, that can, play a little bit of defense, that can pick and pop and pick and roll. If it all hits, then it they have if we're sitting here middle way through the season and Christian Wood's having just a breakout year, I'll be like, all right, it's conference finals. Let's do this.
I have Christian Wood in tier 2, so I'm just about there with you. Like, you could convince me he's in tier 1 for the Mavs. I have James Wiseman in tier 4, so we differ on him a lot. And coming up, let's talk about that, and then explain why. Explain the rest of our tiers after that. Coming up.
Okay.
But before we do, here is a PSA from the NHTSA. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, and you'll get a DUI. Are you one of those people that thinks it's okay to drive stoned? What's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit. It's no big deal, right? No, that's wrong. The truth is your reaction time is way slower when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding around. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. All right, Isaac Harris, we are tiering the Western Conference X Factors. So the biggest X Factors in the West that the Dallas Mavericks play in. And Christian Wood is ours. We think that Christian Wood is the biggest X Factor on the Dallas Mavericks because, like Isaac said in the last segment, if he pans out and he's everything that a lot of, that you probably think that he is, then all of a sudden, that's a game changer for the Mavs. It'll probably completely replace all the production from Jalen Brunson. Not the shot creation, like we've been over that a million times, but it'll replace his production, and the Mavericks are just right back where they were, right? And give him something different too. Give him different options. Give him what we thought Kristaps Porzingis could be on offense at times, right? Like the shooter, the pick and pop, the pick and roll, and even better at pick and roll and all that kind of stuff. And it'll give them the versatile big on offense that they desperately needed. And so that's why I think that he's the biggest X factor.
Yeah, if I was still doing blog stuff, or if I was at like Bleacher Report or something, I'd be doing like a 5 biggest X factors in the West.
You'd have written a whole thing about Luka smoking cigarettes today. It would have just been like you would have like popped off like 6 or 7 articles about.
No, I would do it in a slideshow.
What type of smokes does Luka Doncic putting down?
Yeah. Hit next on the slideshow. You get, each page if you ever slide, you click on
5 different types of cigarettes Luka Doncic can smoke and what it could mean about his 2023 season.
But no, I would do
Somebody's gonna write that now.
Yeah, they will.
How is this? I'm going to the Smoking Cuban right now while you talk, and if they have not written that article yet, I'm gonna be mad at whoever it is. All right, continue. If you did an article, the 5 biggest X factors in the Western Conference next season, Christian Wood's in that 5. And I think I'm going to reference that a lot. Kind of similar to when we tiered off backcourts in the Western Conference and how high we had Luka Doncic, Spencer Dinwiddie, and how we're going to reference that. Like, hey, I think, they're a top 3, top 5 backcourt in the Western Conference. I'm going to do the same thing with Christian Wood this season. And I'm going to reference that a decent amount of saying, hey, Christian Wood, he's a top 5 X factor in the Western Conference this year. And because he just raises the peak, the ceiling for Dallas. Are you having any Google luck over there? Well, my computer is so slow today for some reason. But they have an article, should Dallas Mavericks fans worry about Luka Doncic's off-court habits? Come on. You're the Smoking Cuban. This is literally your time to shine. Be better, Smoking Cuban. The former editor of your site is here asking you to be better, and that's Isaac Harris.
Smoke the cigars.
I should see like 10 different spinny what are slideshow wheels about different kinds of smokes that Luka Doncic could be putting down. So it's Christian Wood, but James Wiseman we're completely different on because I don't think that we saw his floor last year. He just doesn't play.
He's going to start.
He just doesn't play. We saw his floor. He's going to start this year.
If he is like the peak version of him, he's starting. He's the starting.
Okay, so I just don't think he's gonna get there. I just don't think that this is. I just don't think this is I think this is the year to introduce him a little bit more, get him back into the fold. And
I also don't think Michael Porter Jr. is going to lead the Nuggets to the title either. But I think he's an X.
The Warriors already went to the title and won without James Wiseman. So I think that
True.
I just don't think that the ranges are as wide for the Warriors with James Wiseman. James Wiseman's outcomes are wide, but I don't think it's for team success. That was a big thing that we wanted to put in this. And so, I think that's why I put him in 4. Because I just don't have him in my tier 4. My tier 2 is Christian Wood. And then I also have Anthony Simons.
Wow. Okay. So we differ a lot in that.
On Friday when I talked about Spencer Dinwiddie, I think Dinwiddie is the most important star player on any team in the NBA. I went through every single one of them. The one I got closest to was Anthony Simons. I think that if he has a really, really good season and he works out really well for the Blazers, that changes their outcomes a lot. And
it makes them like, a 9th or 10th seed in the bubble.
Or they're just they're just like tanking again, basically. I think if they're good enough, they can get to like a 7 or even a 6. With Jeremy Grant and Nurkic, but if Simons is good.
Yeah, I have him. I'll save my Simon stuff I have him in tier 4 for me.
So those are our splits. It's Wiseman and Simons.
Yeah, for sure. In my tier 2 is called good teams already. Like these 3 guys are X factors for their teams, but the team's already like good. So I put DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson Jr., and John Wall. Of like if DeAndre Ayton has like a subpar season, like Phoenix is still gonna be pretty good. Like Jaren Jackson Jr., he's the only one I'm a little iffy on because they do need him to like have a really good year. But like John Wall could be, a bench guy getting 10 minutes a game, or he could start and play 30 minutes a night. Like I still think the Clippers are arguably the deepest team in the league.
So I did the same thing in tier 3. I took these are the teams where I'm like, all right, the player's outcome is really wide, but I don't think the team's outcomes is that wide. Like I kind of just think we know what we're going to get from these teams. And if the player breaks out, it could still make a big difference, much more than tier 4 and tier 5, but they're just not as much. So I put Ayton there. I put Jaren Jackson Jr. there. Put John Wall there. You had John Wall in your tier 2 as well, right? Yeah,
I had him in tier 2. Do you?
And then tier 3, I have Russell Westbrook in there too.
Oh my gosh!
I just think we already know what we're gonna get. There's a small, tiny chance that like it still works, like something.
But those
like
other teams are good.
No. It's what we think they're gonna be. Like I just don't think I don't think Russell Westbrook different in a different season changes anything for them. Like we already know what they're gonna be. I'm not saying it's we already know they're going to be top 5 or top 4 in the West. We know they're going to be like a 7, 8, 9 seed.
Yeah, I put Westbrook in a tier of his own, and I just put matters, but who cares? Like, like it matters for the Lakers that, I mean, realistically, if for some reason there was a switch that was flipped, and Darvin Ham is the Russ whisperer, and turns Russ into this. Like coming off the bench and it actually contributes to a winning style of basketball, then
this is a positive world.
Then it would matter, but I just don't give a crap. So I don't think he's going to be on the team anyway. They'll trade him at some point. But
that's the one that matters the least, I think. I probably should have just put him in tier 5. But
does John Wall does it matter anything to you when you look at the Clippers of like what he is?
This is why I put him in tier 3. Is that no? I don't think so. Like realistically, I think he'll probably be fine to not good, and they'll have to bench him at some times. And the Clippers are just gonna be fine no matter what. Like they're deep enough anyway. The thing is, what if he is good, right? And that's why he's in tier 3. He's like, what if he is good? Then all of a sudden, that takes him to another level, and it gives him that attacking guard that they've really wanted for years. They've been after like every point guard. It seems like Kyrie's available. Well, there talks about him. Westbrook's available. There talks about him. Wasn't that Chris? There's a conversation about Chris Paul coming back to the Clippers. Like they always seem to be going after a point guard. And what if John Wall can become that kind of guy? I mean, he hasn't played in a while, but he's not too far removed from like a 20-10 season.
Yeah. Going back, I meant to ask you this about the tier 1 conversation a little bit ago. Who's the biggest X factor in the West out of that tier 1 group? If
I'm going to rank them.
Yeah. Who is I'd say it's a battle of 2 names for me. It's Porter Jr. and Zion. I think if Porter Jr. hits, you started to allude to earlier, if he is legitimately healthy, awesome, great this season, I think they have a chance to win the championship. Zion, I don't know if I can get there with Zion, but like if he is like what he was before he got hurt,
almost all NBA.
There's no reason to look at that team with CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram and Valanciunas and these young guys and say, hey, why can't they make a conference finals run? So like, I think they're the 2 biggest X factors, and obviously health has a lot to do with it for me in the West.
When you first said that, you get that first initial like, all right, this is my answer, and you just like immediately lock one in, was Anthony Edwards. And it's because I think that there's so much on his shoulders to make that whole thing work for them. And maybe it's not as much of an X factor as much as how much pressure is on a player to make something work. But I think he has a higher leap that he can make than Zion and Michael Porter Jr., right? Like maybe not get to a higher level, but I think he can take a bigger step from what he was last year in the regular season to what he can be this year, and then even into the playoffs where they're going to need perimeter scoring. And he's like the guy. Because you're not relying on D'Angelo Russell. You're like, whatever D'Angelo Russell can give us, we'll take it as the Timberwolves.
Kyle Anderson, baby.
Bring in slow-mo. Bring in the nemesis.
My guy.
Nick, that's...
Good morning, Isaac.
bring in slow-mo. But Anthony Edwards is going to be what makes... Like, he's the ceiling for them. Like, Cat and Gobert make the floor, I think, and then Anthony Edwards raises the ceiling.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, let's get into our 4 and 5, the bottom tiers in the West. These are the still X factors that could change seasons. It's a lot of young players. Like it's a lot of young players. We'll talk about them coming up. All right, Isaac Harris, we're going over the biggest X factors in the Western Conference and putting them in tiers. I have Christian Wood. We both have Christian Wood as the X factor for the Dallas Mavericks, and we have him pretty high up in this tier ranking because we think that he can affect the Mavericks' outcomes a lot going into next season. We're down to our tier 4 and 5 now, where these players can still affect the outcome of their team. Maybe they don't have as big of wide range as a player. Maybe their teams are just kind of where they're going to be, and we don't expect too much out of them. I have James Wiseman here. We kind of already went over that. And then my other one in tier 4 is Josh Giddey. I have him a little bit higher than the rest of these younger guys.
Is it bad that I knocked Josh Giddey because of the Chet injury?
Yeah, like the team's not going to go as far if they don't have Chet. I just think that Josh Giddey is a little bit better than all these other players that we mentioned, and then I think if he takes a step up, it could help the Thunder a little bit more than some of these other guys.
Yeah, I should have Giddey in this tier. I shouldn't knock him for that. That's my bad. I'm sorry, Josh Giddey. But because
Ryland Styles Locked On Thunder will be thankful for that.
My title for this tier was just playoff bubble, and it's the young guys that are on the playoff bubble of that, and that's why I didn't put Giddey in this. But before the Chet injury, I think they could be pushing for I say playoff bubble, play in
bubble.
The 10th seed, and that's why I have Simons, Josh Giddey now, and I had Keegan Murray in that too, because we picked Keegan Murray, for the Kings, or at least I threw it out there because I think he is. I feel like I kind of know what I'm getting in Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, these guys. I wavered a little bit. I'm like, is De'Aaron Fox their X factor? But is he kind of what he is already? And this is who he is. But if Keegan Murray comes in, and I know it's summer league, but he looks as good as he did in summer league and actually has a rookie of the year type of year, I think it could push the Kings into the play-in. I think it could. And for the Simons thing, I know we differ a lot on the Simons stuff. I just don't think kind of going to kind of James Wiseman in a sense of, I just don't think it changes their outcome a ton of what he gives them. If he hits, I don't think it pushes them in the top 6. They're not going to be that good. If he sucks, I don't think that they're falling to 13 to 15. I just don't think it changes the outcome. I think they're a play-in team, and that's kind of where they're at.
Maybe I'm just too high on Simons because I haven't.
But that's the reason why he's an X factor, bro. Because he just got $20 million a year. They've committed to him to be basically the new CJ next to Dame. Yeah. We know all the other pieces. Jeremy Grant's a good player. Nurkic,
he's kind of
know what you're getting. Josh Hart, Damian Lillard, assuming he's healthy. But Simons is the guy that if he takes the next step and next leap, I just don't think that they're going to be good enough as a team to move into that top 6 of teams, no matter how good. I guess he could be Jamal Murray or something and it goes crazy, but I just don't, I could be wrong, but
I'm going to put Keegan Murray in my tier 4 with Giddey and Wiseman too. You convinced me on Keegan Murray. The fact that the Kings are just better than those other teams, and I just don't know if I'm expecting a lot out of Keegan Murray because of the other players that they have. They still have Harrison Barnes there. They still have Fox and Sabonis. He's 4th or 5th on the totem pole. They added Herter and they added Monk. He's just so far down the offensive totem pole that I just don't know if he's going to make that big of an effect. So that's why I had him
So
at
I guess
five.
I guess it could be De'Aaron Fox if we want to put him as the X factor. But
yeah, that one's tough.
Also, don't think
it could be Monk, but
I just don't think they're gonna. Also, don't think they're gonna take a guy. Well, they're taking 3 or 4 overall, and then just not playing. So
yeah, I don't think they're not going to play him. I just think he's probably like 5th on the offensive, on the offensive, rankings, or fifth option on offense sometimes if those certain lineups are out there. I think that means we have the same players in tier 5, right? We have 3 players in tier 5.
Yeah.
Taylor Horton-Tucker on the Jazz, Houston Rockets, Tari Eason, San Antonio Spurs, Devin Vassell.
Yeah, my title for this tier is "Who Cares? Teams Suck."
And this is Jazz if we're assuming Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Yeah.
If he's not traded, then who is it? It's probably Conley, right?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah. These teams just suck, so their X factors don't matter.
Who's better if Mitchell doesn't get traded, the Blazers or the Jazz?
Am I ready to have I thought about a scorching hot take that I'm not ready about Houston?
No.
Are you ready for it?
Oh my gosh. Wait.
No, we can't. No, because then somebody's going to clip it and I'm going to look dumb in 5 minutes.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
All right, I'll say it. All right, I'll say it. Are we sure that Tari Eason's not going to be better than Jabari Smith?
I don't know if that's bad.
I mean,
I'll do both.
You know how much I like. You know how much I like Eason.
Tari Eason. Yeah, you love Tari Eason in our draft prep.
I almost leaned into it hard on draft night when they took him and just said right off the top before Summer League and said, "Hey, Eason's gonna be a better pro than Jabari," but I just didn't have the guts to do it. But I don't know if I'm fully there. But
he was
a
17th pick, and Jabari Smith was what, the 3rd pick?
Yeah, but I mean, Jabari was supposed to be number 1.
No, but I'm just saying, how many times have we seen a pick in the teens be better than a number 3 pick? It happens a decent amount of time. So I don't know if that's such a reach.
Yeah. Okay.
I could see it.
Anyway, sorry.
Tari Eason. Really planting your flag on Tari Eason.
I do. I like him a lot. And the other ones, I mean, it doesn't matter what happens with the Jazz or the Spurs.
Not at all.
Or Houston.
Wait. Which one's the biggest X factor in getting Wembanyama? The tank race for those teams? Because I think it's Taylor Horton-Tucker, and I don't think it's close.
Where do we want Wembanyama to go?
No, but which is the biggest X factor as far as a tank commander? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Horton-Tucker, we're going to see some incredible tanking this year.
I mean, how many shots did he put up the year before LeBron came, right?
Some of these Spurs lineups this year are going to be unbelievable.
He put up 9 shots a game last year. Taylor Horton-Tucker did. He's going to get 16, 17 shots a game. Maybe he's going to get a ton. Jordan
Clarkson's please don't trade anybody. Cause I'm going to put up about 35 shots a game.
Jordan Clarkson's guys. I've been here before. I was there when Kobe left. I was there. What's the Gandalf line? I was there when it was forged long ago.
For Memphis, I switched at the last moment, put Jaren Jackson Jr., but I had Zaire Williams on there.
Yeah.
And he is, I just don't know. I'm how much does he change their team for next? I guess he changed it without Jaren Jackson, but
it's hard for those 3-and-D type players to have wide outcomes. I just don't know if too much is being asked of him.
Yeah,
to where he could change the outcome that much. That's why we don't have Dorians or Reggie Bullocks or guys even Harrison Barnes's, guys like that.
Yeah,
you're not throwing him on there.
If Chet was healthy, would you give him a chance to
Oh, Chet would be their X factor if he was healthy for me. More than Giddey.
Yeah. If Chet was healthy, what would you would there be a play-in team for you? Would you think about it?
The thing is if they played at full force and just the Thunder really went it all in.
Do they want to?
Do they want it? Do they want it? Do you want it? Can I have it? Can I have it? Can I have it?
What if they just flat out? What if they get What if they get him and it's him and Chet together?
This is what keeps Sam Presti up at night, which is why I don't have the Thunder as a fringe play-in team, because I don't think that they're gonna do it.
Poku's put me at the 3. I'm ready.
Put me at the 1, guys. Give me the ball. Put the ball in my hands.
Now we need this to happen. We need Chet and Victor together.
Oh my gosh. Does Shai Gilgeous-Alexander need that?
I might just drive up to OKC like every other week if that's the case.
I've heard some people talking about like just hypotheticals. What if they trade Shai? Because he's the next player that's like, I can't do this tanking thing one more time.
I know a place he would work great.
I mean, it would be awesome. And that's why you keep these first round picks and don't send them off for Jordan Clarkson, because you keep them for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow.
Who wanted to do that yesterday?
Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen of the day. Now go listen to Locked On NBA coming up tomorrow. Jackson Gatlin.
No,
I don't know if Jackson's up or not.
It's Matt Moore and David Ramil. So go listen. Get some knowledge in you,
guys. Listen, y'all need to go listen to Dave Ramil's 2006 Miami.
Oh my God.
I don't know if he's like okay or
this is. I received many texts from David Ramil about this 2006 rewatch that they did on Locked On Heat, and I don't think this audience is ready for it.
No. It's just there's just no awareness with it. There's just sometimes you just gotta admit that something happens, and Dave just can't get there.
So there you go, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.